Oh. Whoop, 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 whoop. I'm good with that. Okay. Episode X. It's a conspiracy! Welcome back, everyone, to It's a Conspiracy. This is the podcast where we lay out the beliefs behind selected conspiracy theories, alternative accounts, legends, myths, and more. I just can't do this. Okay.
Keep it together, Mulder.
Okay, my bad. Okay, here, I just take another run at it. Welcome back, everyone, to It's a Conspiracy. This is the podcast where we lay out the beliefs behind selected conspiracy theories, alternative accounts, legends, myths, and more. I'm your host, Andrew, and I don't claim to be an expert on anything we're going to discuss today. So if I get something wrong, which I inevitably will, you can blame the internets and rush planning, or you can blame Charlie.
Oh, don't blame me.
Yeah.
Nope.
All of the information gathered.
Hey.
Oh,
you can't blame me. I'm just the Scully to your Mulder.
My bad. Okay, you can blame Greg. Sorry, Greg.
He's Skinner.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
All the information gathered here was done online and is probably wrong, as usual, because we had an extra special. We interviewed Angie Klein, daughter of the former Alberta Premier Ralph Klein, just in time for the election. How terribly convenient was that?
Awesome, Leo.
Yeah. And, oh man, I told you about this case. So Greg and I went to her store.
Flower shop.
For the flower shop.
You messed up the recording.
And we messed up the recording.
No, we did a test recording, so there was like a good 30 seconds of us.
Yeah. And I left it on test. So it recorded the beginning. Yeah. And so we were like 45 minutes in. It was going really good. And then, yeah.
Guys are really jiving.
Blast.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to be super paranoid about that.
Technology!
For the rest of my life. Yeah.
And then I went out and partied for my birthday and didn't make it to the next one.
And that's fine. That's fine.
Good for you.
Yeah. B, these things change all the time. It's impossible to know what will develop at any given point. And C, we just did our Easter special, and I have got the worst taste in my mouth I think I've ever had.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, man.
Like it.
Well,
The peanut butter and chocolate ice cream kind of fixed me after.
it's not a spoonful of poppy seeds, that's for sure.
I cannot. The onion and the pate just. Oof.
It wasn't that much of a pate after all.
Joining me, as always, are my old chums, Greg and Charlie. These chums will be presented with a few selected theories, and we'll interject with chummy chums. Okay, before we get started, if you would like to keep tabs on what we are up to here at It's a Conspiracy, then please check out our Twitter at Is It a Conspiracy? That's run by our Irish madman. Our Facebook group, It's a Conspiracy. Our Instagram page, It's Conspiracy Podcast. That's run by Gorgeous Greg. Our email, It's a Conspiracy at protonmail.com. And our Patreon account, patreon.com/It's a Conspiracy. Now, our two puppies, Kylo and Ren, only get fed with the money we make on Patreon. So you're pretty much condemning them to starving anguish if you don't support us. But, like, no pressure. I know.
Walking them these days has been kind of a drag.
Yeah. That's Kylo there. It's okay, Kylo. Maybe somebody will get you some food here soon. I know. Just lie down. You'll be fine. Also, we have and I know you need that operation to get your legs fixed. Also, we have a sweet new website that will serve as a hub of sorts for all the online stuff we do. So
it's a Conspiracy worldwide.
Yep. It's a conspiracypodcast.com
/worldwide.
It includes a link to Old Man Design.
Old Man Design, that's even better. Thank you.
Is that all you want to? Okay. All right.
You're expecting me to launch into a plug?
Oh,
like that's where you can get
go.
all of your t-shirts and graphic designs. No, I don't. That's at the end of the episode sometimes.
Okay,
but if you do need some design, pop on over to oldmandesign.com. We'll get you sorted.
Oakley Dokley. Charlie and Greg, as always, I'd like to point out that I will include a bunch of references in the episode description.
Yeah, I'm
Nobody
sure you
cares.
To show, and nobody cares where this stuff was dug up from, but nobody gives a shit. Now, Charlie, with a yay or a nay, can you tell me if you're familiar with these things here?
Yay.
Number one, the men in black.
Yay.
Okay, I'm not talking about the Will Smith song.
Still yay.
Okay.
Wait, Men in Black 2?
The Titanic didn't sink.
Yay.
That sounds like a May.
May.
May?
And this is one of my favorites. Mr. Rogers, the Vietnam sniper.
Hey!
Okay. Number one, the Men in Black.
I'm sorry, you can't just say that.
I know, it's incredible. It's incredible. Yeah. The Men in Black is not just a saucy romp with an amazing rap jingle from super fresh Will Smith.
Isn't it, though?
There's so much more to this theory. Now, don't you guys kind of miss the days when Will Smith would do a rap like in before or like in the promos or whatever for his movies? Like
Wild Wild West.
Yeah, Wild Wild West.
Wow.
And don't you think that would have made Suicide Squad a whole lot better? He was like a Suicide Squad.
I'm surprised he didn't, actually.
He should have. He sure should have. I feel like that's going to come back any movie now, any day now. He's going to.
So?
Yeah. Even a drama, he'll be like some serious thing, and he'll be like, "I'm having struggles as a single dad, trying to come into the city." That's pretty rappy, and that's all I said.
Is that your idea of rap?
No, I'm not a. Yeah.
Man.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll just So the Men in Black, the story starts like this. These are guys who it's a covert organization called the Men in Black, and they go out of their way to question, harass, intimidate, terrify, or even abduct witnesses of strange paranormal phenomena. The story basically starts like this. In June of 1947, in some unpronounceable part of Washington, Puget Sound, whatever. A man named Harold Dahl claims to have observed six.
That's not a real name.
Harold Dahl, 6 donut-shaped obstacles flying through the night sky above a body of water. One of these donuts appeared to notice him, zipped over to hover above his boat, and Dahl took a number of pictures of the craft up close, and felt an odd calm during the encounter. He felt really nice. Everything was good. He had his son and his dog with him. Then suddenly and strangely, the flying donut exploded and rained metallic debris on Harold, his son, and their dog. The dog was killed in the explosion, but Harold and his son were okay.
That's cold, man.
It's cold.
Can we put a date or a year on this?
1947.
1947. Okay.
Okay. The only person Dahl initially reported this incident to was his supervisor, Fred Crisman, or Crimson. That also sounds like a fake name.
I'm telling you.
Crisman?
Look, if you're going to read straight from the X-Files...
It's all about the names, right? Like the Scorpion robots, and it's like, who would have thought they went bad or went rogue or whatever? The following morning, Dahl was visited by a very strange-looking man in a black suit. The man in black...
Tommy Lee Jones.
Took him for breakfast at a local diner and explained to him that he had witnessed what had happened to Dahl and went into like really elaborate details, including knowing that the dog had died and who he had told about this. He was warned to not speak of the incident lest bad things happen. I never get to use the word lest in a sentence. It's nice. We should have Mo lest, huh? Hey, no, that's not the way I wanted that to. We should have less.
That's
Mo lest.
2 in a row, Andrew.
Despite this scary warning, Dahl and Crimson tried to sell their incredible story to a local newspaper the next day. So a local Air Force authority heard about what was going on.
Wait a minute.
So
the man in black tried to get money from the paper?
So the guys saw the donuts flying around the sky. Donut crashed.
Right.
Dog died. And then the next day, the man in black came and said, "Don't tell anybody.
Shut your damn mouth,
or I'm going to kill you." And then the next day,
they're like, "Hey, let's go tell someone.
Let's go tell somebody. Let's go tell a friend at the newspaper."
Just can't keep it inside anymore.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And a local Air Force authority heard about what was going on and contacted Dahl and Crimson to let them know that an official small-scale investigation would be launched. This guy from the Air Force is like, "Look, we're going to do something here. We're going to check it out. Just hold tight." 2 Air Force pilots turned wreckage experts showed up in...
wreckage
experts.
They're like, "Well, now I'm a wreckage expert. Looking through all this wreckage."
They showed up in Puget Sound, and gathered up as much evidence as they could find. Nobody knows exactly what they found, but apparently they discovered something that made them immediately pack up and head back to the airport within a few hours. I'm choking. In an odd turn of events, the plane the investigators were on crashed before returning to the Air Force Base. The crash was investigated and no official cause was found. Also, nothing of note was found from the alien crash site. In 1956, a book on the Maury Island incident was written that chronicled the events at Puget Sound. And
where is Puget Sound again?
it's in Washington. I'm probably not saying that right. Yeah, Puget.
It's a weird name.
Puget. Tie them into a strange case involving a man named Arthur. Are you guys ready? Arthur Bender.
Arthur Bender. Arthur Bender from Puget Sound.
Yeah. He was allegedly harassed by the Men in Black in 1953. Bender, in his own 1962 book, Flying Saucers and the Three Men, described the Men in Black as follows. They floated about a foot off the floor. They looked like clergymen, but wore hats similar to Hamburg style. Their faces were not clearly discernible, for the hats partly hid and shaded them. The eyes of all three figures suddenly lit up like flashlight bulbs. They seemed to burn into my very soul, and the pains above my eyes became almost unbearable. The basic story begat a number of similar encounters. Someone would witness something very odd, usually aliens related, and then subsequently be visited by 2 or 3 odd-looking men wearing black suits, hats, and sunglasses who drove around in bizarre 50s-style black cars. Some of the witnesses have described the agents as having alien features such as waxy skin, altered voices, glowing red eyes, hairless features, enormous bodies, red pubic hair, odd ticking mannerisms, etc.
Well, that floating thing kind of helps too, doesn't it?
They floated in, yeah. And they also had waxy skin.
Yeah, red pubes. You snuck that in.
These emotionless government agents were sent there to interrogate, and people are like, oh, they're so scary. This has led to 2 main schools of thought on the theory. Number 1, the government has a secret intelligence branch that keeps phenomenon like this under wraps via mind control,
Obviously.
abductions, threats, and this body is run like a branch of the military and uses highly trained officers for missions, much like the movies, super covert, super hidden, super classified, super sexy. And there's the theory that actual aliens who are posing as humans are trying to keep their presence under wraps and like visit these people, and they're like, don't you tell anybody, don't you mention my waxy skin. Yeah. Which there is a really cool modern version of one of these visits that was captured by hotel lobby cameras just a couple years ago. So apparently someone saw a UFO, and the Men in Black came to the hotel the claimant worked at to discuss what they'd seen, and the hotel cameras got these people like coming in the front doors. Yeah, like we'll put it up on the Facebook page.
Like, this is a real thing we can watch.
What it is?
It's a real thing.
Have you seen this before?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so this lady says, yeah, the Men in Black came, and people are like, what are you talking about? And so they went and checked the cameras, and sure enough, 2 guys came in. Yeah.
How do you find it?
Just put Men in Black,
Men in
hotel
Black
lobby.
hotel lobby video footage.
Not black men in black, Charlie. It's not about race.
Men in Black bug guy.
Sorry, that's just an autofill.
You have a lot of searches here about black men. I'm getting
X.
confused.
Is this video proof that the MIB exists? Or is this video simply an internet hoax?
It's just 2 guys.
2 very tall men with...
Yeah, those look like businessmen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just 2 guys.
I mean, yeah. I mean, but they're huge. And you look at a comparison to like the lobby guy, they're enormous. Both of them are giants.
Yeah.
That's the weird part that I find. Like when I looked at the rest of them, like there's 2 guys that look like the Blues Brothers walking in, but they're huge. Anyways, we're getting into opinions here, but like, look at how tall they are.
Compared to what?
The lobby guy.
What?
Little Jerry Lobby.
Oh, they're a bit
They're
taller.
about like a half a foot. They're like a half a foot taller than him.
They're like 8 feet tall. That's clearly 2 aliens stacked on
Those are
one
just-
another in a trench coat. Like
That's
the old
just tall
classic.
hats.
Anywho,
I don't know, man. Anyways, save that for later.
that's for opinion time here. We have a very special segment here for What Are We Drinking? Greg, you want to tell us about this?
Hey, Greg, what are we drinking? What are we drinking?
Hey, man. Let me tell you, my dad sent us some money via email money transfer to buy some beers.
Thanks, Greg's dad.
Yeah, thank you, Dad.
You're a gem.
He is a gem.
And your son's a good guy.
And he picked some real good beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last time I was in New Brunswick, we went to go buy some beers to have for dip with our dinner, and he had never tried Le Fin du Monde, the end of the world.
It is.
So we bought a couple, and now it's his new thing.
Now it's jam.
So it's from Chambly, Quebec, Canada, and I'll just give us the little read down here they have on the box.
Do they have a French section?
I'm not doing it in
Oh,
French.
okay.
You guys do not want to hear that. Neither does the rest of the world. Brewed in honor of the intrepid European explorers who believed they had reached the end of the world when they had in fact discovered a new world, a world that would later become North America. Le Fin du Monde repeats the style of beer originally developed in the Middle Ages by Trappist monks for special occasions. A golden ale, mildly yeasty with notes of malt, fruit, spice, followed by a smooth, dry finish. And it has a food pairing too. Blue cheese, salmon, scallops, fruits, and sausages.
Is there
brought
anything
some
in there
blue
about
cheese.
about chocolate eggs full of guacamole?
Not yet.
No.
What is the beer
I think
pairing for that?
I think they're reviewing their pairing in the next couple years here. So
Yeah. You know, I've had this before in like individual bottles or like the liter bottles.
Yeah,
I've never
usually
seen
these things are bigger.
yeah,
Yeah, I've
they
never
usually
seen a
come in the
sextet.
No, neither have I. Usually in the 750s.
It's a real sexy tet.
That is the sextet. Yeah.
And it's got to be careful. It's that 9% right there.
Strong beer. Does it say strong beer on the label? Strong beer.
Negative.
Sure should.
Oh, extra
Extra strong beer.
Extra strong. Ooh.
Double down.
Yeah, actually.
But yeah, I'm sure my dad is probably going to be drinking one of these when he's listening to this episode. So cheers to him.
Cheers.
Cheers. What's your dad's name?
Tim.
Tim. Cheers, Tim.
Tim.
Thanks for the beers. La Fin du Monde. All right. Our second subject tonight is the Titanic didn't sink. The official story is that on April 15th, 1912, 107 years ago, the RMS Titanic sunk on its maiden voyage. However, there are those that believe the Titanic was alive and well until being decommissioned under a different name in 1935. The whole thing starts on the 20th of September, 1911, when the sister ship of the Titanic, the Olympic, collided with the HMS Hawk. So we were just talking a minute ago about HMS and RMS. I'm not exactly sure what the difference is, but we'll look that up in opinion time and figure that out.
Yeah, definitely.
So it collided with the HMS Hawk just off the coast of Scotland. This incident was ruled to be the fault of the crew of the Olympic. It was a huge problem for the parent company, White Star, and it was going to be incredibly expensive to repair the ship. The ship wouldn't be available to use, so they weren't making any money for it. And most importantly, this would end up delaying the launch of the very anticipated Titanic. So even in 1911, and it was only about a year later, not even a year, it's about 6 months, but the Titanic was a huge, huge deal. It was the most modern ship at the time.
Big deal.
Thus, with expectations high and no money coming in, the head office of White Star concocted an elaborate insurance heist. The plan was to switch the Olympic with the Titanic and arrange it to be sunk in order to claim compensation. The ships were essentially identical, and no one outside of the head office would know of the switcheroo.
Big old switcheroo.
The old switcheroo. Designers and contractors wouldn't know, as actual cabins, nameplates, stairwells, flooring, etc. from the Titanic were taken out and installed in the Olympic. In fact, aside from one basic, very tiny detail, the Olympic decked out with Titanic furnishings would be like identical. It'd be really
Indistinguishable.
Indistinguishable. The one.
What about the big name on the side? Wouldn't that give it away?
That would give it away. So I'm pretty sure they thought about that. They're like, we should switch the names. And I did say nameplate, Charlie. Yeah. The one tiny detail is that the Olympic had 16 unevenly spaced portholes on the sea deck. And then there doesn't say anything about the poop deck. So 16 unevenly spaced portholes on the sea deck.
Well, it's only natural.
Yeah. And this technique had been used for years And the Olympic and the Titanic were built really close together, but there had been this new approach that had come out just in between. So just in between the two ships, the Titanic had been fitted with the modern 14 evenly spaced portholes on the sea deck. So if that makes sense. So the Olympic had 16 uneven ones. Titanic had 14 even ones. Okay? So I'm going to show you guys a quick picture here. See if I can put this like this here. This is the only known picture of the two ships together. It's creepy, right? They're just boats, but that's creepy.
Like,
There's like subtle differences.
I don't know
but
that I call it creepy. It
They're
just
pretty
looks like
indistinguishable. Yeah.
two boats.
I just find old black and white pictures, especially when there's either old people or kids in the pictures. I'm like, oh, that's so creepy.
It's true.
Well, because they're probably dead.
Everyone in these
Probably
pictures, yeah,
dead,
probably dead. Yeah, or they're probably mythical creatures that will never die.
Yeah.
Okay, now
There can only be one.
these are all pictures of the Titanic. So the first one is from the 31st of May, the next one's from the 8th of February, and then the last one is from the 10th of April. So there's three pictures on top of each other. I'll show you guys them all. First one's from 1911, and then the next two are February 1912, April 1912. Okay, so take a look at the portholes at the top there.
Oh, yeah, I see what's
Okay.
going on.
And we'll include these pictures in the episode description.
All
Let me
right.
see. Where's the portholes there? Yeah.
Charlie, get your sea eyes going here, and your sea legs, and your
So maybe-
your sea balls.
Is it possible she got some work done though?
She got some work done.
Yeah.
That's absolutely possible. It was under construction, like almost right up until its maiden voyage.
Which portholes am I specifically looking at? The ones on the left.
One's on like the white here, right underneath. Do you see how it's like even, uneven?
Well, it's easy enough to put some more portholes in there. You just pound them through.
But they're not just more. There's like they're kind of
They're a little
spread
bit
out
more
strangely.
random.
Yeah, and this one clearly is even, and these ones are kind of look like
Steven.
looks like someone just had a saw and they're like, I'm just gonna cut holes in whatever.
Put a window here.
Also, like, where's some of these photos here? Like, where's this stacks coming out from the top one there? Like, you don't
That's
see
what I
it
was
in
saying.
the top video.
Like,
I guess when it's being built.
It's being
Like
built.
she got some work
It's being
done.
built. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, and did you guys know that actually there's 4 stacks on the Titanic, but and this is one of those things like, did you know that Frankenstein is actually the guy and not the blah blah blah? But
Well,
there was actually so
Yeah, Andrew.
so this is one of those things people are like, oh well, in the Titanic actually, but only 3 of the smokestacks actually were exhaust ports.
Actually.
So one of them was just for
show.
For show.
For
yeah.
funsies.
So when you see it like coasting along, you only ever see smoke coming out of 3 of them, which is one of the little things that James Cameron was like in the movie. He's like really insistent on like, and we're talking computer animation in the 90s. Oh, that movie's incredible.
No, I remember watching, especially once it came out on VHS, back and forth, going reverse and forward when it cracks in half and the people are falling. And you see bodies falling and one of them hits the railing and
Oh,
starts
yeah.
doing
Dude,
a crazy starfish
we all
thing.
remember that,
It's
man.
like, oh my God.
And that was done in like DOS on an old like Apple IIc.
Yep.
Yeah. Can you imagine by someone chained to a computer who hadn't seen the light of day?
That's some crazy shit.
For like 2 years.
You can have
Oh, but
you can have
however-
some Jello when you're done.
Yeah. No, they can make that happen. But
No snack pack for you.
on the security footage of those 2 men in black, you can't see much outside of a blob for their face.
Dude, look at like Terminator 2. I mean, we're digressing here, but that morphing effect of the T-1000,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that's never looked better. And that movie's
the
almost
floor?
30 years old.
The floor?
The floor where he comes out of the floor and he puts the thing through the guy's head. It's amazing.
How come you can take a perfect picture of a cat in 1920 and it's black and white, but it's brilliant, but you can't take a proper picture of a fucking UFO? Come on.
That,
I don't know.
cat would have had to sit there for at least like, a good minute.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Like 6 hours.
Get it together.
Well, 1920, I would
was-
imagine it was kind of more instant, but you had to get them to sit fucking still.
Probably a dead cat with like reflective eyes. Because they're like, no living cat will sit still this
I
long.
want to believe.
I don't
Just
know.
take the right picture.
You ever get a cat to try and get out of your way?
Totally.
They fucking just stand there, man. Yeah, move me. I dare you.
Dude,
Come on.
what are you
What
gonna
you
do?
gonna do? You clean my poop.
Interestingly, J.P. Morgan, who's one of the main guys at White Star, and 50 other first-class passengers, a bunch of whom were shareholders in White Star, canceled their tickets for
Wait, what's White Star?
White Star is the company that owned the Titanic, the Olympic, all these companies. So J.P. Morgan's like one of the head guys, and 50 other first-class passengers, and a bunch of them were like business shareholders. They canceled their tickets for the maiden voyage of the Titanic, like a worldwide event, days before the trip.
You think I think we'll cancel.
Yeah.
We had a thing come up.
We had a thing, and J.P. Morgan, who is no stranger to conspiracy theories, there's a couple other things that have him in it. He claimed he'd suddenly come down with a severe illness and couldn't possibly travel because he was locked in the bathroom, shitting his brains out. But he was spotted.
Some bad food.
He was spotted vacationing in France like 2 days after the Titanic left Belfast. So they're like, "We thought you were locked in the bathroom, shitting your brains out." He's like, "No, I'm fine."
I just caught syphilis instead.
Croissant really cleared that up.
Yeah, man, and like, yeah. And so the Titanic sunk. Spoilers. Spoilers.
Oh,
Yeah, DiCaprio sank into the sea.
necklace?
Yeah, the old lady jumped in and she got it.
Does Leo live?
No, he. Don't you think would have been great? He's sinking down. She's like, "I love you, Leo. Hold my heart," and like a shark just comes along and bites him in half. His frozen corpse, just his hand is left. Oh, so good. In 1935, the Olympic, which was the damaged ship that this whole thing was stemming from, it did amazingly well for like 24 years. So it's almost like it hadn't been damaged at all. It gets decommissioned, stripped and sold off for parts. There's a hotel in Alnwick, England, and this guy's like a massive Titanic fan, and he's like, "Oh, this is the closest thing I'm ever going to get." So he buys a bunch of the flooring, the paneling, the doorway, the stairs, etc. of the Olympic, and he's like, "I'm going to have this in my hotel. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be like just like the inside of the Titanic."
That's pretty boss.
Amazingly, a number of these items are labeled as 401, which was the serial construction number for the Titanic when it was being built in Belfast. So the Olympic's designated number was 400 and the Titanic was 401. So this guy bought a bunch of this stuff from the Olympic and all of it has the serial number for the Titanic.
I have some thoughts about that.
Right. Okay, so we'll hold it for opinion time, but okay, now perhaps most damning of all, in that this is not damning at all, is that a number of people have come forward in the years since claiming that their relatives had worked on the Titanic, knew of the switcheroo, and confessed that it had been switched. Apparently, these workers were terrified of going public after the events, as they feared being silenced, forced out of work, etc. And it's also a really good family legend.
Swimming with the cement shoes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
We're going to throw you in the ocean.
Yeah.
So
sick Mac the knife after you.
It's in Ireland, so but another guy, but
Mick the knife.
Yeah. Perhaps the ship that sunk 107 years ago was actually the Olympic, not the Titanic.
Well, damn.
Yeah.
Ship, son.
Sheep.
All right. Speaking of ships, it's the Mandela Minute. Mandela Minute.
Okay, Mandela Minute. For people that don't know what the Mandela effect is,
what is it?
It is the belief that two parallel universes are colliding into one. There is the thought that Nelson Mandela had died when he was in jail back in 1989. People remember seeing reports of it on the news. The president talked about it. There are other people, though, I consider myself one of them, who remembers him passing away in 2015.
I sure do too.
Because there was a big deal about it on the news. And so it's just people are experiencing the histories in one way when they're just in the wrong universe.
I got to jump in here. We were all in the same universe last time. For the first time, I think, since this has started. So this might be
a trend.
We might have all moved into the same universe, which is weird because Charlie was in the shit universe for a long time.
Things were weird.
Yeah.
Well,
things were weird.
We were in his universe. For
I know,
a little
but
bit.
it was like
But now it's our.
it's our universe.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, I don't know if I want to be here.
It's almost like Captain Planet when everybody comes together.
That show sucks. That show sucks.
I never,
so
I
bad.
never
Oh.
watched it. Man.
Says the guy who obviously doesn't like recycling.
Look, I love recycling.
guy
But
who-
Captain Planet.
Not a friend to the planet,
Oh,
Mother Earth.
Sorry. I just heard a couple years ago, they were like, we're going to make a Captain Planet movie. And I'm like,
Oh,
of all the
no.
things that you should make a movie out of, Captain Planet? No.
Well, they kind of screwed up the G.I. Joe ones, so.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I saw a poster for they're going to do Biker Mice from Mars.
That'd be great.
I'd watch that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a thing.
I'd be fine with that.
So why not Captain Planet?
Anyways.
Captain Planet.
Go Planet!
Anyway, let's get back on track. Since we're talking about shows and whatnot, do you guys remember back in the 90s when Shaq starred in that horrible film where he was a wizard?
Absolutely.
Sorry, a genie?
Absolutely.
Wait.
I believe it was called Shazam.
It absolutely was.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So you kind of semi-remember the Shaquille O'Neal
Yes.
one. All right. There's the belief that Sinbad, the stand-up comedian, starred in a film where he played a genie and was dressed up like as you would think
No,
a genie
wait.
would dress up. And it was called...
You said Shaq.
Yeah.
No, I remember Sinbad.
It's not Sinbad. It's Shaq.
No, I remember. I've heard about that. But yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't called Shazam. I think they called him like Kazam or something like that. It was like very similar. It was almost like, I don't remember who they said did it first, but like both movies are said to exist. But there is no evidence ever of this movie existing.
Either movie?
No.
Of Sinbad's.
Of Sinbad's movie
No,
ever
Sinbad's
existing.
didn't actually happen.
No.
Right.
No. I believe,
Except that it did.
except for that it did. You remember it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it good?
I don't remember seeing it, but I remember it existing.
Yeah. Like,
Really?
we would be like 10 years old.
Yeah, like-
the movie poster, he's floating in like a yellow suit.
Yeah,
like,
totally yellow, like a yellow suit with some crazy pattern on it.
complete. He's reading my mind. This is amazing. He's got his arms crossed. He's sitting in like a cross-legged position.
So-
He's floating up, and there's like a cheesy 90s like.
So you know about it too?
Totally. And there's a movie called Shazam that is out in theaters right now.
Well, that's based on the comic
that's
book.
different.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
But the other night I was playing at this theater and I was like, oh man, Shazam. Like, I wonder if they had to do like some kind of legal wrangling with this.
Probably.
And this girl's like, there's never been a movie
That
called
movie
Shazam.
never happened.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? And
Allegedly.
She like explained this whole thing to me and I'm like, you're blowing my mind. Like I have memories of this.
Yeah. So the one with Shaq is
Also,
real.
stop talking during the movie.
No, we weren't in. No, sorry. We were in the
Oh, I
the theater lobby. I was playing in the lobby. She was working at the.
Also, shh.
Yeah. I said French fries and fish and chip.
Fish and chips.
Sorry, love.
But yeah, no. Okay, so the one with Shaq does exist. I remember it because it was not too long after I was born. But yeah, the one with Sinbad is like way before my time, and it doesn't exist because
Yeah,
it's.
of course, it's before your time.
Yeah, you were born in like 1998.
Hey man, lots of things after happened
know.
after 1998.
You
just so
were you were born after like Predator 2, Jurassic Park.
no, Predator 2 was after I was born.
Okay,
Jurassic Park was also probably the year I was born.
Oh, wow.
this is getting weird.
But I remember Shazam, the Sinbad movie.
Totally.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
It's weird that we both remember a poster for a movie that didn't happen, and we
right.
have. I know this sounds so staged, but like when this girl was talking about it, I'm like, you're blowing my mind with this. Like I didn't realize this was a Mandela effect,
Yeah.
and it's because this new Zachary Levi movie that looks, it might be good, but it kind of looks like shit.
Which one?
It's called Shazam.
Oh, that's just, it's got really good reviews so far.
Yeah.
But like, I'm like, meh. I don't know.
Well, I'd like for a DC movie to be good for once.
It'd be great if it was.
I can't wait to see the Joker. But I don't think it's going to be anything what anybody thinks it is. We'll see. Anyway,
Let's save that for opinion.
we'll save that
time.
for a
Yeah.
period time. Yeah. But yeah, it was just before my time, and I don't know Sinbad that well.
This whole Mandela effect thing, it is bizarre. Like this Shazam thing is weird. Like I can't believe that. Yeah.
I don't believe the whole. I mean, it fits right into the whole simulation theory. Just different programming.
But this means that we were in the same universe.
It's just you were just remembering a different simulation.
And I just,
See, well, it's not that I was in a different simulation. I just wasn't in during your time.
Yeah. You hadn't been programmed yet.
That's true.
Nope.
Yeah. And that's actually, but when you think about these things, it's like, how do we all have the same memory? And it reminds me of that, like, it's just like, it's like finding out you have some kind of mental disability and you're like, no, I can't possibly. And then like, but everybody else has the same thing too. And it just reaffirms that you're like, no, I'm not crazy. You're all crazy, except for the people that remember this thing that I do that didn't happen.
Yeah, they're the sane ones.
Yeah, they're the same ones. But it's
The
like,
same ones.
clearly it didn't happen. Like, oh, just weirdo. All right, so our last one here is Mr. Rogers, Vietnam sniper.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. A beautiful day for a neighbor. Won't you be mine?
Do you guys remember Mr. Rogers?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Okay. Being really chill, throwing on a cardigan, lacing up his shoes, hanging out with puppets.
Straight cardigan.
Okay. Some people believe that behind that very wholesome image was a very dark and secretive man with a frightening past. The story is that Fred McFeely Rogers, that's an odd middle name. McFeely?
Huh.
Doesn't that sound like,
Could be
like
a
the nickname for your uncle?
Could be
Well,
a family name.
Wasn't the delivery man named Mr. McFeely?
Yeah, and it was named after Mr. Rogers because he had, like, his grandpa's name was McFeely. And so
McFeely
that was
Jones.
his, but yeah, that straight up sounds like a
I
nickname.
don't know that I trust a mailman named Mr. McFeely.
I know.
Oh, no, that was different. That was a different thing.
Anyone in any position named McFeely, your guard should be up. Like, that's a red flare. You should be like, okay, yeah, I'm not falling for this again.
Nope.
Yeah. So anyways, Mr. Rogers, according to this theory, served as a sniper and Navy SEAL during the Vietnam War and had 55 confirmed kills and 100 plus more possible. He was a master of hand-to-hand combat and could disarm or kill an opponent in seconds without thinking about it. Furthermore, he decorated his body per kill, so his arms and chest were covered in tattoos, celebrating his lethality. This is why he always wore long sleeves and sweaters. Producers on the show were aware of the host's troubled past, so they wouldn't. That's why there's no kids on the set. The only children that Rogers interacted with were like creepy puppets voiced by adults with names like McFeely.
But he hung out with kids at the points.
He hung out with puppet kids.
Nobody.
He had
There was
kids in
real
his
kids there
backyard.
too.
He had kids in his backyard.
Not very often. Not very often. And clearly at a distance, because the producers are like, we're not going to let you get close to this guy who's
No,
probably an
that's
alcoholic.
very, very not true. But anyway, we'll just continue. Opinion time. Opinion time.
The dead-eyed killer finally surfaced in the final episode of Mr. Rogers, where Fred McFeely stares sternly at the camera, sticks up his middle finger in the way that snipers with tattoos do after they kill somebody, and fingers the camera. Yeah, just in the final, this is who I really am. You know, like his face came off and there was like clown makeup on underneath, just like
He cackled a little
yeah,
bit.
just
Wait, that didn't happen though. He didn't flip off the camera.
he flipped off the camera
Like,
in his final episode.
Fuck you, America.
Well, we're gonna have to stop and take another look here because
Okay.
check it out. Just
Yeah, I don't
now. This is
believe
you got to
this
be careful.
whatsoever.
So I want when you're typing Mr. Rogers fingering, let's just
Middle finger.
middle finger, and you'll see the picture. It's good to have working Wi-Fi in the man cave for a change.
way.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Sniper Rogers right there.
Yeah, he's probably doing a song talking about the different fingers or something, though. He's probably like,
This one's
little
for
finger
murdering,
does
this one's for
stuff,
stabbing, this one's for
points to
strangling,
the
this
bad
one's for killing.
guys.
Like the kid's got his hands behind his back. He's terrified. There it is.
Okay.
A
All
double
right.
double finger salute.
Double guns.
Just like a Saigon sniper.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Look at that.
All right, it's very real. I get it.
Okay, but that's not.
Opinion time.
And let's not get into opinion time just yet. So, all right. Oh, sorry. We haven't done this yet. Okay, Greg, do you know what time it is?
I believe it's opinion time.
Opinion time, opinion time. Hey, everybody, it's opinion time. Opinion time, opinion time. All you motherfuckers, it's opinion time.
Charlie, can you tell me what our first topic was?
Nope.
It's because they use that little flashy thing to remember it.
That's right.
Oh, it's Men in Black.
Blink, blink.
You know what? The thing I hate the most is in the Will Smith song "Men in Black."
Okay, you're just stepping
Okay,
on
well, it's
some
the Men in
sensitive
Black.
territory here. Just before you get started, I'm just gonna let you know.
Okay.
I'm a fan.
There's a line where he talks about having a cigar, and he says, "I just bite it. It's for the look. I don't light it." Why are you wasting a good cigar
That's good.
just to look good?
Yeah.
What did you do? You spill some
I
shit
spilled
over
some
there?
beer
What's
on the
happening?
table. I'm sorry, man.
You ruined my my soliloquy, my thing.
We gotta-
I was really
I liked how he
was going to go Shakespearean there
No,
for a second.
He was pointing at the paper towel behind me, but I thought he was like, because I just said something about, like, I thought it was a solidarity with like Will Smith. I thought
I'm
he was
with
like,
you, bro.
just I'm like, yeah. fuck this shit.
Black, bro.
I'm so sorry.
Greg, do you remember what the second topic was?
No.
It was the James Cameron guy falls on a propeller.
Oh yeah. It was the Titanic. Did it exist? Sorry, not exist. Did the Titanic sink?
It had a moment in that movie where it went directly into Andrew's Book of Secrets, where they're the draw me like one of your French girls. Yep.
You've always wanted to be drawn like a French girl?
Well, no, I'm just saying that
I'll draw you like a French girl.
You draw me like one of your Krampuses.
I believe they call it the spank bank is what I'm saying is that so
Yo, Leo with his shirt off, huh?
no wait a minute,
No, it's with that like collar that he wore.
hold up a
When
second.
they're spinning around dancing.
What, the deuce?
I was yeah,
Oh, yeah, I see.
never mind.
You like big boats.
Yeah.
Andrew, do you remember what number 3 was?
The Mandela Minute was did Shazam
Shazam!
happen, and did Sinbad star in it? And yes, and
Wait, I think I may have gotten the titles mixed up. Was Shaq the Kazam one then?
Shaq was in. There's some weird thing where he was in Kazam, but at the same time as Shazam came out, Superman had died in the comics, and that had been a big thing where the death of Superman.
Oh, yeah.
One of Superman's reincarnations was a character called Steel, and Shaq was in a real bad movie called Steel.
But it
where
wasn't Superman Steel.
It wasn't
was it?
Superman
No.
Steel at all. It was terrible. It was horrible. And if you want to know everything that was wrong with the 90s in one 90-minute block of a headache, just watch that movie. and
I'm
be
sure it's
like,
on YouTube.
It's the worst thing ever. Like, it is the worst movie. Yeah,
I'm sure they've made worse movies.
it is the worst. And there's probably worse movies. I don't know. Yeah. Charlie, what was our last
Oh, damn it.
topic?
Mr. Rogers giving you the bird and shooting people.
Shooting people, and maybe was a bit of a McFeely himself.
It was Mr. McFeely.
Yeah,
I don't
so-
know. I don't like that part.
I don't like it either. I'm just saying that's part of the theory. They're like,
like that part.
oh, I know. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I guess let's get to the. Let's get, do you want to start this off, Greg? So what are your thoughts on Men in Black? Like, what's your feeling on that?
I don't know if you've ever watched the TV show Fringe, but they kind of had some interesting characters that were called the Others, and they were just be pale white people from the future who were also like kind of an alien that walked around in black suits and observed what was going on in the universe.
And that's your.
And that's my opinion. Like, it could be. Why not?
You're like, that feels right.
Yeah, if we're in a Matrix, they're almost just like that like sweeper that looks for the virus and they just go fix something.
So you think they're like some kind of like law enforcement ish or caretakers maybe, or someone keeping things in check?
They're
Yeah.
the Watchers.
Above our level.
You know?
They're a Watu.
Yeah.
But
They
I
are.
want to.
Yeah.
Charlie, what do you?
Yeah, I don't think it has to be that complicated. I mean, obviously, the government,
Oh, here we go.
they like to wear black suits. And they don't like it when you see the wrong kind of thing that you're not supposed to see that they have. So I think the Men in Black are very possibly just, it's very plausible that it's just some legit government officials trying to make you forget the things that they don't want you to see.
Right. Do you...
Making you disappear.
Taking the X-Files stance.
Yeah. So in this regard, you guys are both summing up basically the two schools of thought on the subject. Like there's aliens or interdimensional, pan-dimensional beings of some kind, and then there's a government like body, like a branch of the military. And I guess that's interesting because it's both. I mean, it depends on what your feelings are on it, but like I'm like if there was an alien invasion or crash or whatever, they wouldn't bother being like, I'm going to get out my flashy forgetful stick and show it to you. They'd just be like, everyone's going to have weird heart attacks and die in plane crashes. And like, everyone's going to like,
disappear.
Disappear. Yeah. And they're just the government's going to come in and be like, yeah, we're not quite ready to like let everybody know about aliens. We're just going to kill everybody. So the thought of some kind of branch of the government that deals in like things that maybe the world isn't ready to see, I can lend credence to that. Like, but
Well, I also kind of feel like that branch of the government would flash the government and be like, we just done this.
Because what would stop them? Like, who is overseeing them at that point? And never mind that. What level of government are we talking about? Are we talking about like a country? Like, we're kind of, this is sort of an American thing, but this, if they have that amount of power, it's a global thing at that point.
Sure.
So
Well, it's a breakaway government.
Yeah, like a shadow global. Yeah, exactly. So
I think shadow government's a whole other show, though.
it is. Yeah, it totally is. Well, the next Men in Black movie is Men in Black International. I think it has a British woman and one of the Hemsworth.
I don't know.
Hemsworth.
One of the Thor-looking guys.
One of those handsome. Are they Australian?
I believe so. Yep.
I don't know. One of those guys.
Hemsworth.
Claude Hemsworth. So there's Liam and Chad,
Jim.
Nobody cares.
and yeah, I guess whatever the other one is.
Larry Hemsworth.
Jerry was what he said.
Jerry Hemsworth.
Larry and Jerry.
They were twins.
And so the Titanic didn't sink. Charlie, what are your feelings on that one there?
I mean, that seems plausible. That's just some shitty insurance stuff, you know? That seems totally fine.
Insurance stuff on a massive scale.
Sure.
Like one of the richest companies in the world.
Yeah.
And shipbuilding is...
You don't get rich by playing nice.
Yeah, no, you sure don't. And insurance scams are nothing new.
Yeah.
And we're talking like a make or break thing, delaying.
Yeah, see, if it was something, it wasn't something weird or paranormal or anything like that. It was just like, yeah, no, they just switched the names and put the other ship out there and sunk it and then sat back and collected a big fat check.
But let all those people die? Like, that's...
I mean, it's monsters, but they're monsters.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
Because it's essentially saying that the damage that was done in the Olympic is the reason why it went down.
Right.
So like it is the premeditated murder of like, I think it was like 1,200 people or something like that. Like, crazy. Yeah.
Well, the one thing that you kind of brought up earlier was that the guy that bought all that stuff from the parlor on what was the Olympic, right?
Yeah.
And put it in his bar.
Yeah.
It's like, this is just going to look exactly like the Titanic, and
Yeah.
the parts number said 401. Like, you would think that they would have more than one replacement for parts or for part of the building of that.
That's true, too.
You know, if something like fucking Jerry scratched that wall over there, bring in wall number 2.
We're going to get 50 lamps. I hope we don't ever break one.
Yeah, right.
Totally. And it would have been the same shipyard, 401. They were built consecutively.
Yeah.
So that might not be the biggest thing.
And what's to say
no.
they're not like, oh shit, we way over ordered that part. So
Yeah.
now we've got a whole bunch of them. Well, we need them over there. Just put them on that ship.
But you also
Or
said
they
the
changed the
Olympic.
flooring. They were like, okay, we're going to do carpets, and what are we going to do with all this hardwood flooring? Oh, well, let's
Jerry
put it in
puked all over the carpet. We got to get rid of that now.
Yeah.
Jerry Hemsworth.
Fucking Jerry.
Jerry.
But yeah, I know. But I totally forgot I was going to go with this because goddamn Jerry puked on the carpet again.
Jerry
just-
ruins it again.
Just does it again.
But no, that was the kind of the big thing where when you first said it, I was just like, yeah, man, they totally switched them out. But then it was like, oh, they were building it, and you showed us those photos, and that kind of rekindled the thought of they were building it. So why not have all these extra parts just in case?
They would have all the extra parts. What about the portholes thing? Are you lending anything to that, or is that just one of those things that could be added in
They
Photoshop?
Totally could be added in.
Yeah, like 2019, we could add
But you said-
black circles to black and white pictures.
Yeah, that too. But also, you said the Olympic had 16 and the Titanic had 14.
Yeah. So the
So in the first photo that we saw, it was obviously the Titanic may have had 12.
No, it was the Titanic had 14 evenly spaced ones, and the Olympic had 16 unevenly spaced ones.
Yeah,
So in the first,
in the second photo and third photo, there were some that were not so evenly spaced.
then that's exactly what they're saying.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first one, the earliest picture, they were evenly spaced, and the second picture, they were just like, "Hey, let's just put holes everywhere. It's a whole crazy party. Let's just go crazy."
We're gonna sink this bitch anyway.
Exactly. So, but why would they even? Like, what a weird thing to. But if it was already built,
But
Yeah.
that's a big fat insurance check.
That's
huge. And a company saving insurance check. Not just company saving, but all of our employees, everybody, we're keeping the business afloat. But also, unfortunately, we've got to murder like 1,200 people. Yeah. So I mean, they could have, like, that's where I'm like, whoa. Maybe if it had somehow sunk with, and everyone on board was saved, I'd be like, yeah, that's a lot of people to kill.
But I think there was a majority of poor people. Not that I'm saying that's a good thing, but like back then, but back then in that time, they were just like, nah, whatever.
They didn't care.
Out on the lower decks.
Peasants, man.
Yeah, no, and it's true.
We gotta get that main money off, so they keep investing, obviously. And yeah, everybody else, whatever. And
it is weird that the owner of the company, well, not the owner, but the main man at the company was like, these guys are always going to be on their maiden voyage of this thing. Like there's this thing, Titanic 2, that's coming out. I'm sure you guys have heard about it.
Oh yes, Titanic 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. So you can count on the main money investors being on that maiden voyage when it happens. Like they're gonna be there. They're going to be keeping tabs on it. They're going to be watching it. They're going to be like taking selfies on the deck. They're going to be doing the whole thing.
Well, you can't do that twice, though. You can't pull the Titanic twice.
You shouldn't have been able to pull it once, but like watch it happen.
Just watch them, man.
Like this has, because people are already saying like, what if it sinks? Like, what if the actual unthinkable happens? And it's like, that's exactly what people said the first time it happened. Allegedly, they're like, it'll never sink. Don't be silly.
And it's called it unsinkable.
Yeah, and then imagine it happened again. Like, I'm not saying it wouldn't. I'd feel really bad if we were talking about that now, but like that is bananas. Yeah.
Hey man, David Copperfield made an elephant disappear in a room of like 100,000 people.
He's a wizard.
Sorry, not 100,000 people, but like 8,000 people.
100 million people.
Illusionist.
Okay, so Mr. Rogers was a sniper who liked to finger the camera.
Look, there are some big parts that I don't like about this theory.
I know.
The whole, you really zeroing in on the Mr. McFeely thing.
Yeah, I know. And I'm not assuming. I'm saying that's part of the theory. Is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that's what I believe or that's what my opinion is.
We watched the video.
Yeah,
he's just singing the damn finger song, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
The middle finger does a thing. Here he is.
Does
Here
some stabbing.
No, please, help! Stop it!
It's part of your body. It doesn't really mean anything.
I've killed 16 people with this finger and 23 with this one.
If he's not like Johnny Cash flipping off the camera.
No,
definitely not.
But Johnny Cash had never,
I also just watched the documentary about him, Won't You Be My Neighbor? And that's like, there's no way he went and killed a bunch of people in Vietnam.
Did they ever show him with his shirt off?
No, but they show him with the shirts with no sleeves, like with the short sleeves.
Oh,
just sculpting the guns.
Well,
990.
So then,
for a man that weighed 143 pounds his entire life,
so then his forearms aren't tattooed.
No.
Well, according to legend, his arms were covered in tattoos,
there
like
you go.
right up to the sleeves.
There's the whole.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, 2019, you could take that stuff out in footage now.
Post.
I mean,
but they happen to have taken it out, back in the like 70s as well.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like I don't lend any credence to it. First of all, the guy was born like he was the footage that we watched was like from like the 50s and
still
60s.
Black and white.
Yeah, it was predating the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
So
and he was already not, like, I don't want to say an old man at that time, but he was like almost 30.
So then in that case, the timetable's all messed up.
The timetable is totally messed up. Yeah.
He's flipping the bird before he's going to war.
It would have been maybe the same time in like 50s, 60s, 70s. I think before he was on Mr. Rogers, he was on a bunch of other kids shows. And actually, interestingly, Mr. Rogers was initially developed for the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Company. So it was initially aimed at Canadian audiences, which is really cool. And then somebody was like, this is a really good thing. We should show it in the States. And then it just became like a worldwide phenomenon.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So the timelines don't pile up at all. And he seems like a genuinely good person. So I don't believe the...
Oh, man.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the documentary, I totally recommend it. Yeah. Teared up a few times.
I was going to say, I've heard it's a crier.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
She's a crier. And it hurts to even bring this up to be like, oh, McFeely. But it is part of the... And it is odd that there weren't a lot of kids on the show. Like, on the show.
I remember there being kids on the show.
There were kids on the show.
Yeah, just not as often. He spent a lot more time with puppets and other adults making weird voices.
He was also treating children like they were adults.
Yeah.
Which is probably the biggest appeal of the show.
It's like little Sam would come in and be like, hey, Sam, where's that $5 you owe me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, give me another beer.
Like they show it on the documentary, but like one of the coolest things that I think he ever did was like, has anybody ever wondered how long a minute is? Do you think you can be quiet for a minute? And then he just like sets a timer and like you just watch the clock next to him for a minute. He doesn't say a word, doesn't look anything. He just looks at the camera and like that's it for a minute. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
He's like, gotcha, bitches. You were quiet for a whole minute.
Yeah.
That's like nobody could do that in television right now. The world would just implode on itself.
Nobody could be quiet for a minute right now, basically.
But that's also
that guy would be like, do you know what a minute feels like? And it's like, well,
everybody would just start scrolling on Instagram and forget what
8 seconds later
was.
2 hours later, it's fuck, I gotta go to bed.
Well, let's hold tight on the fact that he stared at the camera for a minute. Let's hold tight on that for a second, because that is also the steely patience of a man waiting with a sniper rifle,
maybe
out in the jungle somewhere.
Maybe he's seen some shit.
Well, you don't stare into the camera glaring.
It wasn't glaring, my lord.
Charlie, it's hard to capture how creepy Charlie's face is right now. Clearly, Charlie has seen some action. Yeah. And Charlie's middle name is also McFeely. That's odd.
Wow.
I thought it was Jerry.
Charles Jerry McFeely.
Those are honorific titles at the best. Yeah. No, that yeah, I mean that's.
I find it very hilarious, but that's definitely a hard no on that one.
Mm-hmm. It's a sensitive subject, though, isn't it? Isn't it interesting? Because there was the guy who directed the movie Powder, who it turned out was like had been in jail previously for like actual.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, man, serious. Yeah,
and for what?
For like child molesting charges, like sexual molesting.
Yeah, he was a sexual predator.
Yeah, sexual predator. Molesting. Yeah.
Molestation.
Let's take out this whole part here.
Yeah,
we're trying to figure out what
weird with the
That's why I kind of ended it with
Chester the molester.
Not for me.
Sorry, let's not talk about that part. Yeah. No, and it's hard. Like it feels like odd even talking about it, but it's part of the theory. I would imagine that anyone who works with kids, who has a very I don't have any vices, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I exercise, I eat well, blah, 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 blah. People are going to be like, there's something going on there.
Where's your dark side?
Exactly. And so the sort of the cleaner you are, the darker the
what's hidden in your closet.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this is a perfect case of that. I don't know. Did you have any other?
No, I got nothing left, man. I said it all out there. He's a hero of mine growing up, and thanks for all the work you did.
Yeah.
Learned to tie my shoes.
What's that new Jim Carrey TV show where he's a kids show host?
That's not a real thing.
Yeah, for sure it is.
Oh, God.
It's awesome. No, but it's like, it feels like the dark side of what we're talking about, where it's like there's some real shit going on in his life, but he's just like, and he's got the fate.
Oh, no, it's a show of, like, his character is
like
a TV.
Jim Carrey
Okay, gotcha.
plays a TV a kids TV show.
Yeah.
Who on air is like, yay!
But in his real life, he's like, I'm gonna.
And then as soon as he's done,
how are you surviving with all this trauma in your life, sir?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Okay.
Remember earlier I was trying to think of the kids show that was like really weird and got pulled? It's called Yo Gabba Gabba.
Oh yeah, I've seen Yo Gabba Gabba. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
How did it get pulled?
It got pulled.
It used to have like,
I know.
They had the best. They were like, hey kids, you should like music. Here's the Aquabats.
Yeah.
Here's Jack Black to sing you a song.
Yeah, totally. Super weird. Yeah.
And they had.
They'd be like, here's a puppet show. It's Dr. Dre.
It's
like it
here's
was nuts.
Biz Marquee. Biz Marquee had a reoccurring segment called Beats by Biz, where he would just teach kids how to beatbox.
Yeah, that's gone, man.
It's amazing.
Try to find it. It's that's a weird one.
That's another episode right there. Then We're gonna have to revisit this.
An episode.
It's Yo Gabba Gabba?
We're gonna have to do
Yo
a
Gabba Gabba.
Yoga. You've never heard of it?
No.
Oh, it's so
And this
good.
is just it. I went to pull it up one day because I'm like, it's the coolest show. My daughter loved it, and then it was gone. Yeah. All right, cool. So you can find us at Is It a Conspiracy on Twitter. It's a Conspiracy Podcast on Instagram. Our Facebook group, It's a Conspiracy. Our email, It's a Conspiracy at Proton Mail. Our Patreon page, patreon.com/It's a Conspiracy. Or just head straight over to our website, It's a Conspiracypodcast.com. We will be back with our Mother's Day special on May 12th-ish, and then episode 11 will be out on June 1st. It's hard to believe that we are almost at the end of our first season. It's incredible.
Where does the time go?
Yeah. Thank you so much for stopping by, and please feel free to subscribe, rate, review, share, tell a friend, tell two friends.
Feed the puppies.
Take care.
All right.
Bye.
See ya.